exactly. Nobody will come and say, in that street along there, there's one doctor, you go and meet him, it's cheaper, or nothing like that. It doesn't work that way, And here in Japan, if you had your first child through cesarean section, you're going to have all your kids through cesarean section. They do not risk it.
Hello guys, you're welcome to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic, right? What it means, what it entails to actually give birth in Japan as a foreigner, okay? So as you all know, I am from Nigeria, and today is very special because we have someone, that is going to give us some juicy things about giving birth. Okay, so let me introduce you to my friend. She's also a fellow Nigerian, and her name is Ame. Okay, so Ame, over to you. Could you please introduce yourself to my viewers?
Okay, hello everyone.
Hello.
My name is Ame Amadi. I'm from Nigeria. I am currently in Japan. I'm a teacher, and I have 2 daughters. I have one back in Nigeria, and I had the other here in Japan. Nice to meet you all.
Oh, nice to meet you too. Isn't she beautiful? Okay, so I actually heard, in fact, to an extent, I know that giving birth in Japan takes a whole lot. In fact, sometimes it's not just about getting pregnant, and when you're due, you just go to the hospital. Like in Nigeria, it's hassle free, somewhat. But here in Japan, you have to do a lot of planning, a lot of calculations, because if you're not careful, that is going to even affect your visa, your status of residence, sometimes your jobs, because in Japan nursing mothers don't get jobs, right? So, and it takes a whole lot, right? So Ame in this video is going to tell us what it was like for her, right? More like a story, but just stay with us and get a few tips about what the whole thing looks like, right? And by the way, she was an international student on mixed scholarship. That makes sometimes. And then she's graduated. She's just enjoying her life with her family here in Japan, right? So my dear Ame, it's quite a very significant time it was quite a significant time in your life, giving birth and all of that. So could you please walk us through the whole processes and the protocols surrounding pregnancy and birth in Japan?
Okay. First of all, I'll start by saying that pregnancy is a gift from God. So if you have the privilege of getting this gift, then you should appreciate and preserve the gift. So my case was a peculiar case because I already had a daughter, and I went
to Japan,
and I was hoping to get pregnant. So luckily for me, I got to Japan, and God did it.
Hallelujah.
Yes.
After years, right?
Yes. So it was like a mixed feeling of joy and, would I say fear? Fear in the sense that I didn't have anyone here except my husband to help with the process. So that's why I say fear.
Right.
For joy, I was super excited because I was expecting another baby after so many years. So having a child in Japan is definitely a yes for me and a thing of joy for me because it benefited me, yes.
Yeah, I think I can relate to that because at that point in time, I just graduated in March
Mm,
2022, and then I wedded in April. And then
mm.
I got back, just 3 weeks I spent in Nigeria, and then I got back. And before I could say Jesus is Lord, I was already pregnant. I didn't know I was like, I didn't know I was
You're indeed a fertile ground.
Lego. So you see, like I didn't know that God was just going to bless me that quickly. And when it came, I wouldn't say that I was not prepared. I mean, why would you even get married if you're not prepared to give birth, right? But
Exactly.
then, it was just like you. It was a mixed feeling, and my husband didn't, arrive in Japan immediately after the wedding, like me. So not him not being around was just another story altogether. Hmm. In fact,
Oh my
we would
goodness.
still talk every day, but that presence, I just needed it. There was no
Exactly.
one else here, right?
How far gone were you when he came?
I was about 4 months.
Ah, okay. Was pretty still early.
So to God be the glory for everything because you see, it's not by your power, it's not by how much you have planned, the back control things or how prepared you are, because sometimes you're even prepared and it's not coming forth,
I
right?
mean,
So there
definitely,
were a lot
yes.
of challenges around that period. Like my first time in Japan giving birth, like it was entirely different from what I know the whole thing
Exactly.
to be back in
Exactly.
Nigeria, right? It
Mm-hmm.
was not funny. It
It's
was not
totally
funny,
different.
really. A lot of paperwork and all of that. But at the end of the day, today they're all history, right? And
Yes.
it will not happen again because now I know what is obtainable. All of these things we just said, guys, is about pregnancy, particularly, right? Now,
Mhm.
the birthing part. Okay, we want to know what your hospital experience was like at the time of birth, the labor thing, the care, the meals you received, things like that. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Do I have to start from the beginning when I got pregnant? Okay, so the first thing I did was visit a hospital
Mm,
to confirm if actually I was pregnant.
right.
Yeah, so I was directed to a private hospital. So I visited the hospital and they ran a pregnancy test and it came out positive. So that was my confirmation. So that showed I was pregnant. So I needed to start antenatal sections. But I think I already told the doctor during my first visit that I would like to give birth in a public hospital. So he had that at the back of his mind already. But I did antenatal with him for I think twice thereabout. I think twice. Yes. And on the third visit, he referred me. So I would say the public hospital and the private hospital, the difference isn't so much. Difference isn't so much. So for the public hospital where I had my baby, the care was absolutely amazing. The nurses did their jobs very well, the doctors as well.
Mm,
My case was I had a cesarean section, I had a CS,
mm,
so I didn't need to go into like labor.
mm,
Yeah, so before I went to the hospital, my case was an emergency. I
mm.
had an emergency because I started bleeding. And you know that story of when you're bleeding, when you're pregnant, it's very dangerous. Or if you bleed, or if you're bleeding while pregnant, it's very dangerous.
Right.
So I was scared, and I was only 8 months gone. I would say only because I wasn't up to 9 months yet. And
Mm,
they always say that at 8 months, it's difficult for babies to survive. So on that fateful day, thank God for Japan.
right.
It's easy to call the emergency ambulance,
So,
the emergency number, and the ambulance will come for you. But I didn't have to call the emergency number because I had a friend who
mm,
was local. So I just went to her door and knocked, and that was it. She drove me all the way to the hospital. So immediately I got to the hospital. Luckily for me, You know, this is Japan, and you hardly get to find an English speaking doctor. Luckily for me, my
You did.
doctor was on call, yeah. And she's a lady. Oh, she's a lady, a female doctor. So she speaks English. So she was actually the one attending to me all through my antenatal section. So luckily, as God will have it, I got to the hospital and she was on call.
Mm.
Immediately she saw me, yes, they took me straight to the what they call it, the doctor's room, and they checked and they said I was already in labor. I think 2 centimeter dilated already.
Sorry, this was at
So
the private or the public hospital
no,
that
the public, sorry. Public.
okay. Okay.
Public.
Mm.
Okay, am I going too fast?
No, it's okay. I just
If
wanted
I'm
to
going
carry
too
everyone
fast,
along.
let me know. Okay,
Okay.
so this was at the public hospital. This
Mm.
was my experience.
You're
My
right.
experience at the hospital.
Mm.
So I went to the hospital and she said I was already 2 centimeter dilated
Mm.
and I needed to be rushed in for a cesarean section. So that was how I had a cesarean section.
Hmm. You didn't see your baby for some time because, of course, you should be very tired and all of that.
Yes.
And she had to be in the ICU, right? And
Mm. She was
at
preterm.
that point in time, you were quite scared, but for some reasons, you trusted in the system that, and you trusted in God first, and then the system that everything was just going to go
Yes, and you
right.
know that
Mhm.
it was actually during the COVID-19 period. So
Um,
yeah, relatives, friends were not allowed into the hospital.
exactly. Exactly. But mine happened this year, right? In January, and my husband wasn't allowed to.
Really?
I am being very serious. He was not allowed. In fact, it was on the day that I actually put to bed. He had already gone to work because my labor was quite long, right? I told him just go to work. Nothing is happening. It has not even dilated fully, and I was in massive pain. But for some reasons, metamorphosis happened, and and then I had to call him to come back from work, and they were like, "Where is your husband? He had to be in the delivery room, you know." All of a
Really?
sudden, right, that he had to be there. He had to come with a camera. He had to do all of that stuff. And by the way,
So
he had to do all
lucky.
that camera part. So when he came in, he had to run a COVID test downstairs and then came up. My sister, did you know that immediately after I put to bed, they said he can go.
My case, nothing like that. We had no opportunity of that sort because my husband only got to see my daughter when they brought her out. Immediately, they just showed her to him, and that was it. That was the only time. So he didn't get to touch his baby like all through for about 1 month that she stayed in the ICU.
That was how, I mean, that's how it worked for everyone, not just because baby was preterm, right?
Yes, for
Mm.
everyone at that time. I don't know. I'm surprised you're saying it still happened as at January.
I don't
I don't know.
I don't know. It was not funny, honestly. And before I put to bed, I was already admitted in hospital for a couple of days because, unlike some people, my water didn't break at home. So because it was my first time, every tiny thing I see, I'll be like, baby, that baby is coming out, it's coming out, let's go to the hospital. If you see my husband at that point, you will not stress everywhere. You will still go there and they'll be like, sister, nothing has happened though. Yeah. In fact, nothing. Like at 37, 38, 39 weeks, once
Mm.
dilated. Hey, and
Hey.
I had like 8 more. The goal was 10, and I don't. Oh God, they did not just explain this thing to me very well.
Seriously?
They didn't tell me that pregnancy that it comes with all of these things. They had to induce labor, right? Because I kept going there telling them, is it me here? Is it me there? And maybe it's the baby. Maybe I didn't understand what my body was doing, right? It was my first time. So
Yeah, I could
literally,
imagine.
they said, if at the point they admitted me, were like, if they leave it longer, the baby was going to kind of be having, both of us
Yes.
were having issues because it was
Yeah.
not normal. We were going beyond 40 weeks, my dear.
And you had a natural delivery?
I eventually, to the glory of God, I did have natural delivery.
That's
I don't God, I beg, I don't. But before that natural delivery, I almost ran mad because the labor thing lasted for so long. But
right.
coming to that part, let's just make the whole thing like very constructive so that people will so that's why like two friends just
Guys, please manage us.
What was the meal? I mean, those meals, Japan is so good at giving meals after delivery. What was it like for you? So nice, right?
Yes, I enjoyed the meals, though, the hospital meal, right? Because, of course, my husband wasn't available to start cooking.
So,
And moreover, you're not allowed to bring in food to the hospital. I
um,
don't know if it's the same with you,
no,
but in
that
my case,
it
you
was.
cannot bring in food.
Mm,
So it has to be strictly the hospital food. It was
right.
good, well balanced,
Well balanced,
nutritious, of
right?
course, calories calculated.
Shebi, you are the nutritionist, so you
So,
don't you?
man, it was good. Then you have this celebratory meal. You have this
Right, right.
celebratory
It
meal, right?
was so nice. In fact, I had to take a picture. It was
Oh,
so
the celebratory
nice.
meal was amazing.
Mm-hmm. But after
Yeah.
some days, it was no longer enough for me. I needed more food. And
Oh,
thankfully, my husband was, around to a reasonable
okay.
extent to make the food part just for
Okay.
a few days. Most of the days was just the hospital. So I kept complaining to, in this place, once it's breakfast time, 7:30, they brought the food.
Yeah, so early.
11:30 lunch. How was I supposed to manage until
Six.
6
Six.
dinner? This is not the belleful meal.
No, they hold.
It's not.
No, you're not the first person who is complaining about this. I think when I was pregnant too, or before delivery, my friends actually mentioned this to me. They said I made the food, no, the belly full.
It's a typical Nigeria. We're not used to eating that small portion of food thing.
Luckily for me, maybe because I wasn't producing so much milk.
Uh-huh.
So, because I wasn't producing so much. So it wasn't like taking a toll on me or draining my energy. So maybe
Mm.
that's why I was satisfied with the food. Maybe. Yeah,
Yeah,
but it was fine.
man.
For me, it was okay.
Yeah. Your baby, you didn't have to do a lot. You basically just slept all through. She was in the care of the hospital,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. But I usually go to
Down to
the
visit, yeah,
ICU to visit and to feed
to feed.
because I had to express. But since it wasn't coming enough,
They
they were
have to feed
supplementing
her.
with artificial milk.
Yeah. They gave the baby a lot of artificial, a lot of milk, a lot of, they even made pictures and they even made like a diary, picture diary,
Album.
the album, right? And they made a tape, record
Wow,
tape
that's
of
nice.
our first cry,
I don't think I got that.
of our
Wow,
first cry.
that's amazing. I think I should
So.
ask for that when I give birth again in Japan.
And they gave her duvet, they gave her diapers,
You serious?
they even gave her paste, like toothpaste. I'm like, she never gets
Wow.
it. She doesn't have teeth. So but they were
I
just,
should.
yeah, and they gave me they said if you want to do photo shoot, we have some people we are working with. So you go there. I said,
Really?
like, where do I have all this
Wow,
energy?
that's
My
nice.
dear, so many gifts, so
I'm
many
hearing that for the first time.
are you serious?
Yes. Yes, I'm hearing that for the first time. I
Mm.
didn't know they had those kind of stuff at the hospital. That's
Yeah, and
interesting.
wow, right? And most of the time they were like, okay, you know what, just go and rest. We're going to be taking care of. If baby is crying, you cannot sleep, just bring her down to the nurse's station and they were just taking care of her. Ah,
Sorry, did you get to sleep with your baby?
I did, but it was purely because I wanted to, not that they were saying you must sleep so that you learn how to do that. They say, for my mind, I say, Shabi is for just 1 week. Let me enjoy your move on now. Eh? When I go home, I'll
Hey.
start doing the night, the feeding part, Abby. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was just like that, and they were really caring. During my labor
Very
time, like, of course, my husband was not there with me. So, like, there was this particular nurse. She was just there holding me. She just held me like this. And
Oh,
she just kept
wow.
saying, breathe in. I was
Wow.
screaming.
Wow.
I was
I I
screaming.
experienced some sort of pain after delivery too.
Yeah, but
Mm.
after delivery, just everything just goes away like nothing happened. But at that
Me,
point in time,
I experienced mine after delivery.
so
Yeah.
and but before that I knew the pain was so much that I knew that I was just a thin line away from going insane. Like when they told me
Seriously.
they had to go for another induction,
Oh my
the
goodness.
labor at this point had lasted for 38 hours. Oh,
I've gone through a lot.
And you're telling me another. I said, no. In fact, it is coming out. I said, no. All of that stuff. So, to God be the glory. Everything turned out well.
Thank God.
Do you think private and government hospital like we have in Nigeria are different, or they're the same here, like the same in Japan?
I would say they're the same because they work hand in hand.
Right.
Yeah. So the system in Japan is in such a way that somebody doesn't just spring up from anywhere and then establishes one hospital or one gynecologist
Center.
It doesn't work like that. The city office, or I would say the public hospitals, work hand in hand with the private hospitals.
Right.
That's why they can easily refer you to a specialist. And they'll be like, okay, visit this doctor. We have this specialist here. We have 2 of them. You can either visit this one or you visit this one.
Right.
They have the details. They have everything.
Everything in the system.
The system. So exactly. Nobody will come and say, in that street along there is one doctor. You go and meet him. It's cheaper or nothing like that. It doesn't work that way,
Yeah.
So, and that's why they have a good database. Your information can easily be transferred from here to the public hospital, from the private hospital to the public hospital, from the public hospital to the private hospital. Nothing is hidden.
Right. Right.
Doctors know your history. They know everything.
I give them a thumbs up for that, honestly.
Yeah.
I do. Everything's so arranged, right? You said you had a little experience of the labor part. That's why I'm asking, even though you've explained it was C-section.
Oh, okay. It's not labor pain in any way. It's not labor pain. I was simply 2 centimeters dilated when they checked.
Okay.
Yes, so I didn't have to go through labor pain. But during my first pregnancy, I went through labor pain till 7 centimeter dilated. I was 7 centimeter dilated, but I still had a cesarean section. Yeah, so I know what it feels like to go through labor because I have gone through labor before. It was not funny. It was not funny. So unlike back home, if you have your child through cesarean section and you speak with your doctor that you want to try having your second child through the vaginal delivery, they can grant your wish and try and see how it works depending on your condition. But in Japan, they don't risk it. The moment they hear that your first delivery was through a cesarean section, automatically your other kids are going to come through CS. Yeah, so they don't risk it. Nothing like, let me just try the Holy Spirit or God will help. No. Don't go there with them. Don't go there. Yes. They will tell you straight up that your first child was through CS, so that means this one has to go through a cesarean section.
Right. So what was it like for you? What was it like just breaking that news? I mean, of course, I imagine that you wanted to have natural delivery, right?
Yes, I really wanted to. I really, really wanted to.
Because you've taken a whole longer time to heal from the past one, right? So you felt you were good to go.
Good, of course, definitely. Yeah. I didn't have a choice.
Right.
The fact is, I've always had the mindset of if it's vaginal delivery, it's fine. If it's cesarean section, it's fine. It doesn't matter how my child comes. The fact is that as long as my child is healthy, I'm okay.
Okay, so how long did you stay at the hospital after delivery? Mine was just 1 week. I mean, I had that 1 week preferential treatment, isn't it?
I think for natural delivery is about 7 to 8 days. That's 1 week, like you said. But for cesarean section, you have to stay for like about 2 weeks.
2 weeks, eh?
Yeah.
So you basically stayed for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and it helped me a lot.
A lot. You didn't have to cook. You didn't have to take baby. You didn't do groceries and stuff. It was just relieving, right?
But God works in miraculous ways because I really didn't know how I was going to handle myself.
And you in that pain after the C-section. And then for me, psychologically, kind of augmented the deficiency of not having someone come over.
Ah,
Yeah, I just felt relieved, Yeah, so that's it for me. Did you have someone come over from Nigeria to do the Omugo part? Okay, guys, just so we're clear, Omugo is, the set of rituals we do after delivery, right? Yeah, because we believe that the mother of the baby is not in good condition to take care of things around the home as usual, cooking, washing, groceries, taking care of that tiny, helpless creature, sweet, very delicate. So all of those things, we have our mothers or relatives, someone somehow comes around. But in Japan, it's different. So we want to know from our friend, what was it like for her?
Okay. Let me tell you something. I don't know if you experienced it in your own prefecture. I don't know. But in Higashi, Hiroshima, where I was, the city office organizes this, has this plan for, I'll say, nursing mothers. If you want to take a break from home, they have this provision for you. They'll provide a hotel for you. They'll provide, yes, they'll provide I'll call her a caregiver for, I think is it 12 hours or 24 hours? So the mother gets to rest, gets to sleep in that hotel.
Right.
Order for food. I don't think they pay for the food. It's like you buy the food if you want to eat. Then the caregiver takes care of your baby. You just need to rest.
Free of charge.
But by the time I got to find out about that, I planned that I was going to take that, I was going to key into that opportunity. But the thing is that I don't know what happened. So many things happened and I didn't. Then another thing the city office does for you is they would ask you immediately you're being discharged that if you need somebody to come in to help you do grocery shopping, to help with cleaning, to help with cooking, with laundry, you should just inform the city office and they'll send somebody over.
I see.
So we have those two, privileges, yes. But like I said, I didn't use any of them. I just told them that, okay, my husband was mother was available that they shouldn't worry. And then for the hotel thing, it's a traditional Japanese setting hotel. It's a hotel, hotel. Traditional job. I was so happy when I saw that. But I didn't use it. Because my eldest daughter, I was saying, how would I go with the little one just by myself and just the little baby and leave this one behind with with my husband?
Right.
She might not be happy about it. So so we have those privileges here. Then for the Omugo, nobody came. Absolutely nobody, no soul. Thank God for my husband who was here to help.
Right. My own husband literally had to massage my tummy with hot water. And then I had all of these stitches. He had to be all that patient. And sometimes you just feel so upset. You don't want to talk. Everything was just happening at the same time. Wild emotions that you cannot really express. Yeah? But thankfully, he had read a lot of things about emotions. He was putting it to a very reasonable extent. So when I'm like, I don't want to talk. I just don't. I don't. He just gets it and just gives me that space. Right. So I feel it's very important for couples to communicate very well at that point in time because things can easily be misread. Because eventually finally, your husband is not a woman. So there's something you still need to say and carry him along so that he knows exactly where to come in. You cannot just assume based on what is read on the internet because everybody's experiences are different.
So, to add to what you have just said, it's very important that our husbands help us.
Yes.
And that is why in Japan, they also have the city office also organizes this
classes for men, right?
Yes. Though we never got to attend anyone. They organize classes for men or husbands and wives if you want to attend, and they teach you and they tell you, so they prepare you ahead of time.
Ahead of
So it's not
time.
coming like a surprise that, oh, I didn't know it was going to be like this. Luckily for
Mhm.
your husband, read about this, so he was well prepared.
Right.
So for
Right.
my first daughter, I did not do much back in Nigeria. I did not
Not so
cook.
much. Yeah.
I didn't really do anything. I
Yeah.
didn't even carry baby, But coming here, you have to do everything on
You
your
have to
own.
do everything. My mom was so worried because I'm her first child.
Right?
It's understandable
Oh,
why all of his her attention would be just imagining how is she coping, how because you know how
yeah.
the whole thing can be. But I was just trying to explain to her that these people are very kind, they're very nice. It's not in Nigeria where you just get put to bed and in the next 2 days or three you're gone. Like we literally stayed there until my baby's belly button,
Yeah.
when
Neighbor,
yeah, they
right?
took
Okay.
that care, so I'm just trying to like make her understand that everything was fine. And of course, as a mother, you know how it can be. So there's no point getting upset and say, oh, yeah, because we really had planned for her
Yeah,
to.
those
For some
feelings.
reasons we had to like change the whole thing because a lot of expenses. And she's coming to just stay for 1 month and then going back, and now you're facing yourself alone. How about you just get on with it? Right?
Exactly.
So
Absolutely, you're right.
right, just
Yes.
get on
But
with
look
it
at
and be
us. We're
realistic
strong
about the whole
and
thing.
we're
What
still
else
moving.
is strong? I mean, my baby's almost 6 months. I'm thinking, eh?
Sometimes I look at myself, I'm like, well, did I really do all this
Do
by
that.
myself?
And prior
Ah,
to that period, even though I was the first child, I felt like I learned a lot when my
uh,
siblings were born. But I had to watch a
mm,
lot of YouTube videos to like,
videos, right?
yeah, and then attend those antenatal classes here and see how things are. Yeah. That's basically about
It
it.
helps. And that's why we know that's why people hammer on postnatal depression. It's
Depression, yeah.
real. It's real. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, I think postnatal depression is what really made me understand what depression is.
Whoa.
Really, it's
Mm-hmm.
real. And if you don't take time, I would say, I don't know according to research, but I would say 70% of foreigners living outside Nigeria or of Nigerians living outside, like abroad,
Yes.
have experienced postnatal
Depression.
depression.
Right.
Really,
Right.
really.
Mm.
It's tough
It's
because compared to where we are coming from, you get to have
a lot of
lots of
people
people
around
to
you.
help you. You are the one that will even be wondering, like, what do I now have to do? Seriously, everybody's around to help you, ranging from your church members to your relatives to your friends and all of that.
This depression of a thing, like, personally, they made me feel a bunch of forms. They just kept asking me, is someone coming over? You can call us whenever you have problem. Oh, please fill out this form. Do you feel like beating your baby sometimes? Do you feel like do you feel like committing suicide?
And they ask this question.
Those questions, they just want to know because these are realities. It's not
Mm-hmm.
something that you hope that you just think that God is going to help you. There are practical things that, in fact, there are help made available. So look around you before you resort to God this, God that. Be practical and realistic about things that are happening around you and admit that you need help. Be open to accepting help. Don't do
Yes,
strong woman kind of thing, right?
exactly.
Okay, so guys, we just finished the whole postnatal or Mugo Nigerian style kind of postnatal and activities, and now we want to talk about. I hope you're getting something, something that prepares your mind and tells you, yeah, you can do this. It's with God and with your strength and with your willingness to learn to persevere and go through it, you can do that. Okay, now we're almost rounding up actually. And let's just talk about what our dear friend here, what kind of, how would she, okay, let me address to you directly. How would you like to kind of encourage foreigners, like women in Japan here, to take the whole episode of things happening around the pregnancy and birth thing, how they handle emotional things that pertain to emotions and psychology, and of course physically too. It goes along with the changing a woman's life entirely. And if you were working, of course, you won't be working. If you're studying, of course, you may not have to go to the laboratory for some time. Like it just, you will know that this is a significant time in your life. So it comes with a lot, so much so that many a time you feel that it takes a fellow experienced mother to understand what you're going through, that you don't necessarily need to communicate, especially in this place where you have to do it all alone. There are no people, there are no friends, there are no relatives. So what advice do you think you can, give to some people who are aspiring to be there? How they can handle a bunch of things happening in this kind of environment.
Okay, first of all, having a baby in Japan, it's either you're married or it just happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, either you're married or it just happened. So, and I know pregnancy is something that doesn't really just happen.
Right.
So most times, couples who are willing to get pregnant or who are willing to have kids, they plan towards it and they're like, okay, we're ready. I think. Anyway, in most cases, right? I know sometimes mistakes happen, but in most cases, it's something that you already have at the back of your mind that, oh, I'm ready for kids. I'm ready to have children. Okay. Now, there's something, again, I would like to advise foreigners, especially Black women. In Japan, if you're pregnant, you're being advised to lose weight. You're being advised to lose weight. I don't know about you. Probably you already have a good body structure, so maybe nobody had to advise you to lose weight. But we Black women, you know how big we are. You know how everywhere is always full when we're pregnant.
Right.
So the Japanese medical team would advise you to lose some weight. And they will encourage you not to add weight. First of all, the first reason is because they encourage natural delivery or vaginal delivery.
Yeah, and your weight can actually make it impossible or difficult. Very.
That's the number one reason. So that's why they always try to encourage us. So they don't say because you're a foreigner, then anyhow you want to do. No. So they encourage everybody, both the Japanese and anyway, Japanese who are big dudes and then foreigners. So I think I have a friend, she wasn't even overweight. She was even saying she was too thin. And they were asking her to lose weight. What is she going to lose again?
Right.
You know the Japanese, you know how
right.
their physique is, and they are not on the big side. So most of the time, they don't have the issue of having to go through C-section because of overweight or because of the size of their babies.
Right.
That was one thing that I was advised to do. At first, I was advised to lose weight. But when I was told that I was going to have a cesarean section, then they didn't have to bother me about that. And another thing, again, I want to say is, in Nigeria, it's okay if you're pregnant. You see, we take malt, we take soft drinks, we take all sort of things. We just eat anything. The Japanese don't eat like that, especially when they're pregnant. Yeah, they eat well, they eat healthy. Right. Nothing like, hey, no, me I'm picking. No, nothing like that. You're not feeding you and any baby. No, you need to eat healthy. You need to eat well. You need to eat well. Nothing like you have to increase your portion because you're pregnant. You don't have to increase any portion. Right. Eat normally and eat healthy. Yes, so that's what I would advise. Don't bring the mentality you have, especially for we Africans, you had back in Africa into Japan. You need to move with their own
rhythm, eh?
Yes. Okay, their own teachings or whatever, and it will really help you.
Yes. Because whenever anything happens to you, they will know where to come in because they are used to that style.
Yes.
Mix things up like this becomes difficult and you will have to pay. Well, those are very wonderful points to note. Yes, because it's always very good to be in the know.
Yeah.
And at least it gives you the feeling that you're not alone in this. A lot of people have, surmounted it, and you just have to believe that you're not going to be an exception.
It's a thing of pride. How can you be pregnant? If you're pregnant and losing weight, it calls for concern. They will even
Yes,
hold
you
it
see that
in.
cultural differences,
Ah.
right? So it was just so strange to me. But on the other hand, he did mention that eating healthy is way better than having to take all those supplements that come with pregnancy. Just eat healthy. And then when I told him about the folic acid thing, I didn't take it. First of all, the internet is the wrongest place to go. There is such a thing as wrongest. Okay. Yeah, the worst place to go when you're pregnant. There's a bunch of things, information everywhere. Things that even send a whole lot of chills down your spine. Like you get scared over things that you shouldn't get scared, forgetting that you have it. Even if you're not going to have a very positive experience at the end of the day, you get to profess into your life that, oh, things are just going to turn out for me. Because everybody must have experienced most people experience a point where nothing else made sense. You just have to believe that situation will work out for you. So sometimes the internet is not the best place to go to. That is in addition to what our sister said, or advising us or intending mothers to do. The debunking part is about pineapples. I was told that when you're eating pineapples at the early stage, you're going to have miscarriages and all of that. Like my sister, I took that fear, that internet-induced fear. I went to my doctor, and what
you brought your mentality from Nigeria to Japan, and it started playing.
And everybody was like, "You worry too much." I'm like, please. But deep down, he knew he could cut me some slack because it was my first time in a foreign place. Everything was just so confusing and happening all at the same time. So yeah, and I mention that I had to work even like almost my due date. Like I was working. I was fit. Nothing was wrong with me. Baby, nothing was wrong with me. Yeah, I worked until almost time for me to like put to bed. So the pineapple thing was like, are you allergic to it normally? I said, no. He said, so long as you're not allergic to that, eat, young woman. That stand / funny look on his face made me know that, because he's actually very old. And not very
and
old.
Where did that
Wow. Yes. What did you get it from?
What is the scientific proof behind this thing you're saying?
And this was so high in technology and research, they've already gone way behind, above or ahead of us.
Exactly. There's nothing you can tell them about plants and fruits that they have not researched about.
Exactly.
Except it's not found here.
Right. And then about after you put to bed, you have to do a lot of vaccination for your baby. Like it's not something we're very used to back home. So I think you should prepare your mind for that. It's usually not a biggie, because you will always be. One thing I love about giving birth in Japan is that the whole system is like interconnected. From this unit, they are telling you where to go to, what to do, what to bring. You're not alone in it. Even as confusing as the whole thing may be, you feel, but practically it's not, because they're going to be leading you right from the moment you found out that you're pregnant. You go to the hospital to confirm, take that confirmation to the city office. From there, they give you a coupon with which you go for your antenatal, which is free, by the way. They give what I knew what these people was doing was when it was time was due date in quotes, but it didn't come. Baby didn't come. So at that point, I had exhausted the coupon. And for each visit, remember, I mentioned that any slightest thing, I'd be like, baby's coming, Robbie. Oh yeah, baby, take it.
You lost to the hospital.
And for each one of these consultations or antenatal that had gone past what was available on the coupon, of course, it was meant to last you for up to 38 weeks or so. Yeah, I had to pay. And regardless of my insurance, I had to pay. So that was when I knew the magnitude of the kind of expenses they actually were solving for us by the virtue of that coupon. So do you think the whole thing can take a toll on couples? Like here, especially during that period when you saw, like you cannot even explain yourself. You're angry, at the same time you're happy, at the same time you're scared, at the same time you just feel, sometimes you feel bitter. It's weird, right? But these are realities. They can manifest themselves in different ways, right? So and this can actually pose a source of toll on couples. So what you think it does take a toll, right? And how do you think they can manage it?
Okay, I think we've talked about some
Yeah, a
examples.
little bit. Mm-hmm.
I would just, I am a Christian, so my
Right.
number one
Prayer is everything.
solution is prayer.
That presence where you can voice it out the way it is, and
Yeah.
yeah,
And I believe in silence. Not
silence.
everybody believes in silence.
Right.
Some people rather express themselves like outwardly
Mm,
through an outburst and
mm,
scream and shout
mm,
and let it out and they feel better.
mm,
But I believe in silence. I'd
mm.
rather keep quiet. And I would say that's why my husband doesn't like my silent mood, because when I'm silent, then I'm
He wants
angry.
to come with you. He wants to know where to come in, right? So I think I've watched one Christian talk on that. They say they were just buttressing communication. In my mind, I'm like, sometimes it's hard to communicate. He just wish he could see what you were
Understand, you
and
get it.
understand it, but he cannot.
Because
Man,
sometimes you can't
right?
even explain how you feel.
Exactly. You can't
You
explain
can't
how.
even explain the bitterness.
So.
You just wish somebody could read through your heart and say, "Oh, I know what you're going through."
Right.
So
Yes.
I would just advise couples to be
More open,
empathic.
empathy.
Try
Right.
and feel.
Try,
Yeah.
try and feel. Eh?
Even when you don't understand, even when you don't see any reason why your spouse should be acting in that manner, just
Yeah.
try and understand.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, postnatal depression is
It's
real.
real. It's real.
Yeah, it's real. So many things going through your head, you're frustrated. And that's why they always ask
That's the
how
one.
you feel.
How you
How do you feel? Do you get frustrated sometimes? Do you
mm.
sometimes feel like killing your child? Do you sometimes feel like
Killing yourself too? Yeah.
self?
These things
Because it's
happen.
real.
But we're not
Yeah.
used to it back home. We don't know that it exists. But when you
Oh,
come
my
abroad, the
dear.
story is entirely different.
My dear, there are so many things that we need to change. So many
So
things.
many things.
So many things.
Right.
People just assume that, oh, we are strong. We're strong. Ah, no, they'll get over
Mm.
it. It's
It's not
okay.
me. It's
Why are
not
you
just to be
angry?
that strong.
Then you hear questions like, are you the first person?
Yes. So in summary, we try to communicate, no matter how hard it is for you, and that will encourage your partner to be more sensitive, to know exactly where to come into helping out. Because no man, I believe, no sensible man, very loving of his wife, would want to see her in that pain. And my legs were literally swollen, and I had to get massage, and it was hurting me, right? Yeah, so telling my husband to do that, at first I thought I was joking, but over time, he thought I was just trying to be romantic, something like that.
I feel like that. But anyway, I enjoyed all the massage
Yeah, but
sessions.
over time, he started like playing. Then I enjoyed it, my sister, because it eased a whole lot of tension.
Yeah.
Because your weight is increasing, you're carrying your own weight, you're carrying weight of the baby, and the leg is what does
Mm.
the whole job. So
I didn't really have swollen legs.
oh, I
I
see.
didn't have swollen legs, no.
Mm-hmm.
My feet were not swollen.
Right.
The only thing is that was different with or from my first pregnancy was the fact that the second one I had early morning sickness.
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't have it. I didn't even know I was pregnant. I just didn't see Auntie August.
You
I was
missed your
like,
period,
my period. I was like, what is happening?
eh? Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. And many a time they also ask you about your genetic history. Does when your parents give birth to you, did they have issues with labor, so that they know how to follow you? They feel that these things can easily be transferred from women to women generationally. So they want to know exactly how, because they don't have your medical history. They
Medical
want to
history.
take all the necessary precautions. And I also want to add that there is such a thing as painless delivery. I didn't know about that. So maybe towards the delivery time, you get to choose if you want painless delivery, if you want natural. If anything is about to happen and they have to take precaution, you already foresee it. So you have to give consent to that. And that means that there are so many documents you have to fill. Japan loves documents. And in case you don't speak English at all, there is room for an interpreter to come around and explain certain things, certain times, and like, so yeah, you're good. Okay? I hope you've been blessed by that, right? Okay. So the very last thing that we want Auntie Amen to tell us about is what advice do you give to intending foreign mothers, right? In Japan? Yeah, I think this will also work for people who are basically abroad, be it wherever you're from, but you are abroad, right? You don't have a relative, you're just there with your spouse, right? You know, I mean, Japan is very expensive. Just so we are very clear, very expensive. And you cannot work as a nursing mother. Like I said in the beginning of the video, you have to produce, if you want to work to help support your family, you have to produce something that shows that, yes, someone is really taking care of that baby, because they don't play with mothers and babies here. They want to be sure that the person is well taken care of before you go to work, right? So, and this means that so many people, I've heard a lot of stories, and to an extent, because it's my first time, I kind of felt it a little bit, the financial aspect, right? We are keeping it real in this place. The financial aspect. Many a time you just watch your husband doing all of that expenses, and you're like, this is my home. And as a woman, you're the home builder. You want to be doing something, right? Work is of the essence in a foreign place like Japan here, where foreigners actually do have limits to what they can do, right? So I guess that's where planning comes in, but we just want to have a first-hand advice from you.
Okay, like you said, that's where planning comes in. So finance is very important. First of all, you need to talk about it with your partner.
Right.
That one is sure. You need to talk about it with your partner. So you need to prepare beforehand, because like you said already, Japan is expensive, or giving birth abroad is expensive. So you need to have money handy first. You need to have money handy first. That's very important. I know here.
Guys, I'm sorry, my dear. Please don't forget that we have a lump sum support here.
Yes.
But even at the lump sum thing, you still have your own share of the soup. So yeah.
Here, some of the bills will be covered by your insurance. Right. All right. You still need money. Of course, it's an addition to your family. Your bills are going to be higher.
Right.
So, of course, you need to pay for your bills. And like you said already, Jenny, at that point, you won't be working as a nursing mother. And that's not going to stop the bills from coming.
Right.
You're going to feed yourself. You're going to feed the new baby. So you need money. So it's something that yourself and your spouse need, or your partner need to talk about beforehand. Secondly, I would say you need to ask questions. Yes, you need to ask questions. Very important. How is it done around here? Don't just assume and say, okay, this person has done it now. Maybe the person told you one information and you've already carried that information in your head. Right, from just one person, and you have carried it in your head. If it means going to the city office to ask questions, how is it done? What is it like? Even before pregnancy, if you know it's something that you're willing to do, like I want to get pregnant, okay, let me know. Because I asked most of the people who were here that I met that had kids, I asked them, what's it like having a child in Japan? How did you do it? Like just the way we're talking about it now, getting information from the internet, okay? Now, I asked people in real life. And another thing you observe, that you might be getting different informations, even from the same prefecture.
Right.
I'd like to add that if you want to have a baby in Japan, it's good. It's advisable
Mm.
because the system is working well.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ame.
Thank you so much too for the opportunity.
Right, right. I believe it's going to bless lives out there. If not for Japan
Great.
exclusively, it's for women generally, because I feel that they don't really have someone to talk to. But when they hear things like this from, yeah, they can, relate to it and say,
Yeah.
okay, I can do this. If they could do it, I can do that too. So thank you so much for, honoring our invitation. Yeah,
Thank you. So I'd like to share my YouTube channel if you don't mind. I don't know if
yeah,
you're still
go on
recording.
with it. Thank you so much. I'm going to
Okay.
also leave it in the description box
Yeah,
too.
please. You will be in the
Yeah, she does well with cooking a lot of Japanese things. So if you're in Japan and want to try something else other than things you're used to in Nigeria, go to that channel, okay?
even Nigerian food. Yeah, we're going to be doing lots of Nigerian food as well. The name of the channel is Ame's Kitchen. Ame's Kitchen, but the handle is at Amekesi Sensei.
Oh, so.
At Amekesi Sensei. Because if you go searching for Ame's Kitchen, we have another Ame's Kitchen.
Uh-huh.
Then you
Right.
search for Amekesi Sensei. Yeah.
どうもありがとうございました。
Your Japanese is so good now, Jenny. You need to teach me. Oh, hey, it's like I'm the only one.
Did I tell you guys she had to learn Japanese for 6 months because she came here on fully funded teachers program? Watch that video. I am gonna put that video down there. And she was just so lucky to be one of the benefactors. So she had the opportunity to learn Japanese for 6 months before she went into the remaining 1 year. You should know. Of course, she does know, but now she's pretending and she's making me feel bad.
No, seriously, I'm not pretending.
Okay, guys. Yeah, thank you. You're very much welcome. You're very much. This lady is a very busy person, but I needed to have her here because she had different kinds of experience like me. She had a baby in Nigeria and then in Japan. Me just here in Japan. So I wanted people to get a sense of like the whole thing, how it looks like, and probably get encouraged in the whole process. So that's where we'll be drawing the curtain for today, right? So thank you so much for watching to the very end, and hope to see you next time. So have a say bye-bye.